Good afternoon, friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. Hope you're doing well today. So as you can see in that footage, Mike and Dylan came with me. Aiden's not feeling well today, this morning to do some work at the farm. We did get a good deal done. I mean, a lot done. It would have taken me a lot longer. So this was the pathway that I had laid the cardboard down, and so that's now covered in wood chips. This pathway, we ran out of cardboard, so we're using 2 layers of craft paper, which won't last as long as cardboard, but it'll be just fine for now. So this pathway is done. Also, I weeded this pathway and put 2 layers of craft paper down and wood chips. And then we fixed the problem way down there where we pulled back the wood chips, put down cardboard, and put the wood chips back on top. We'll go look at that in a minute. But I just wanted to show you a few things while we're out here. First of all, the Lisianthus are starting, which is awesome, except they're short. So this is the first time I've grown Lisianthus. And I really expected to have at least 2-foot tall stems. It's really hard to use stems this short. So I'm a bit frustrated. From what I've read in the literature, if the temperature goes above a certain limit in like the first 3 months or something of their lives, then they will produce short stems. And so maybe that's what happened. I mean, I'm looking back, we did have a couple of warm days, but it wasn't like in the 80s or anything. I don't know. But it's a bit disappointing because this was going to be a big cash crop for me, wholesale. So I'm going to reach out to the wholesaler once, because I mean, some of these are ready to harvest. You take a look at this one right here. I mean, this is kind of the harvest stage, and that's like 14 inches. Too short for wholesale. I can use some of them for retail. I don't know. I'm just bummed out. I had real high hopes for these. I think I'll end up with a few tall stems in places, but not tall enough. For the wholesalers, because the wholesalers really want something that's like 2 to 3 feet long. It's easier for them to use in a variety of different ways. So we do not have rabbits. We have voles. So how do I know this? First of all, the bunny barricade that we made, I found a hole in there, in the ground. Let's see if we can go look at it. So here's that hole right there. It's inside the barricade. Things are still getting eaten. Yeah, super frustrating. That whole row of dahlias is gone now. This is my 4th year flower farming, and this has been my most destructive year by far. I have lost so much in crops, so much. Between the gophers, which took 75% of my crops, my fall planted spring crops, were destroyed by gophers. And now the voles. And I know they're voles because I literally saw them when I was weeding today. 3 of them ran right in front of me across the walkways. So that means there's just hundreds of them here. And indeed, you actually can have hundreds per acre. This is 1/6 of an acre. And so there's probably 100 of them here. So all I can do, other than put out poison, which I'm not going to do, I never do, it destroys other wildlife, is set snap traps. And you find one of their holes, their exit runs, and you just set up the trap perpendicular to it with the trigger facing the run. And as they run by, you don't even need to bait them, apparently. This is all from the University of California IPM website. They'll run right over the trap and it'll get them. So you can see here in this dahlia bed, now this one is not lined with hardware cloth or anything, but we've got holes all through it, and they've eaten as high as they can reach. So these guys will produce, but some of the other ones probably won't. Apparently they don't like bells of Ireland, which I guess is a good thing. They can't get at the lilies because this is too tall for them. I have been taking an online flower farming business class based on Lenny Larkin's new book on the Gardener's website, the Gardener's Workshop website. And so I've been doing a lot of planning for 2025. And that everything from financial planning to infrastructure planning still for this area, because I, still have space to build out. So what I've decided is I have to double down against predators. And that's going to mean more protected planting space because, and when I say predators, I mean plant predators like the gophers and the moles. It's too bad we don't have a bunch of snakes, although from everything that I've read, snakes, hawks, owls, even if you have them, there's no way they can keep up when you have an overpopulation of rodents. They just can't eat that much because, these birds of prey are usually solitary and they have a very limited, they have a range and they can only eat so much in a single night. So what I'm going to do is build 2 more of these, actually 3 more, I think. Just like this one. This is just a raised bed. It's got hardware cloth on the bottom, 1/4 inch hardware cloth. So there's nothing can dig in and under, and they are trying, but they can't get in the bed. I'm going to build one here, there, and probably put another one here. I could put a whole bunch actually, because this is a, sloped area. So those will be protected spaces. I'm going to grow my tulips out here this coming year. So in October, by October, I'll have those beds built and ready for tulip bulbs. So we'll plant tulips out here this year, and I'll actually cap over the beds with more hardware cloth because animals will get on the beds, dig down, usually squirrels, but I'm sure other rodents would do it too, to dig down to get at those tulip bulbs. So the whole thing will just be encased in hardware cloth until they start really coming up, and then we can uncover them. So that's for tulips. As you can see, we haven't had any more gopher activity here because I would see fresh, sign, but a lot of the little seedlings that I planted to fill in the holes just didn't make it. So while we do have zinnias, we don't have nearly as many as I had planned or hoped. And a lot of the grasses are being eaten. So these are my decorative grasses. They're just vanishing. So I'm just gonna have to pepper this place with mouse traps everywhere. The mums so far are doing okay. Now chrysanthemums have a really bitter, sharp taste, and so maybe they're not as tasty for voles, but I have a feeling if an animal is hungry, they'll eat just about anything. These zinnias are also blooming very short. So, I'm hoping as the season goes on, they'll get taller. That sometimes happens, but so far I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know why. I pinched them. They should be taller stems. The sunflowers, however, so the ones on this end are the Van Gogh's Fantasy Mix. Those things are huge, and they're getting real close. One of the reasons I came back out here this afternoon after working at home was to do an inventory so I can list these for wholesale, that I can harvest them on Sunday and take them to the wholesaler on Monday. So this is Tweedia. Again, I've never grown it before. You can see it's a little pretty blue flower. I'm sure it's pretty as like a filler flower, but again, blooming super short, super tiny. So I don't know, we'll just see how that goes, but this is absolutely unusable. Maybe for a vase, but I don't do vase arrangements for mass sale. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was part of that collection. I didn't grow these from seed, so I may or may not ever grow it again. I did have a whole bunch of Gomphrena in here, and look, overnight, gone. And like I said, the voles, I watched them. That's who's eating it. And this is celosia. That's blooming way too short. So I just feel like a lot of my plants are a fail this year, and that's really, really frustrating. I do have this mountain mint, which I've never been able to grow before. It always dies before I can get it to a good size. This is actually a perennial, but I wanted to give it a try as an annual this year. I actually really like it. It's supposed to make a really great filler. I mean, greenery. So we'll see. I haven't used it yet. We'll see how that goes. The basil, it's spreading. It's looking lovely, but it is flowering at like 5 inches high. Again, way too short. So I keep coming in and cutting it back, hoping to encourage it to grow taller and flower taller. taller. Now, some folks might say, well, maybe it's a result of the amount of sun. And I thought about that, but last year I grew these two types of basil, cinnamon basil, lemon basil, and I also had a purple basil in the high tunnel at the farm. And that had shade most of the time, and it did great, even though this can take high, full sun. So I don't think it's about the amount of sun it's getting. And the leaves are nice and green and everything. They don't seem malnourished. So I don't know what's going on. But it's hard to run a cut flower business if all of your stems are too short to use. Now there are a couple plants here of Daucus. They're going to have nice long stems, and I love this plant. You can start to see the color here. This is chocolate lace flower. So here's another one. I mean, it'll open out really big and have beautiful, like kind of burgundy color to those flowers. So those will be great. And I can use them in bouquets, but I can also sell them to the wholesaler. Now, I did put this apple of Peru up. And so far, for listing on the wholesale site, so far nobody has taken it, but I think they're really cool. Like so you can have the pods like this, you can have it with the flowers, the pods can fade and be this golden color. I don't know, it's a really cool plant. This is a single plant. So, they're highly productive for greenery. The Scabiosa here, the Black Knight Scabiosa, some of them finally starting to get a little bit taller. So I'll deadhead the short ones, and I'll cut any taller stems that I have. That will encourage more growth on the plant. But that's good. And then the Orlea, the only few that survived, God, I had a whole tray of these. They were all eaten by gophers. I think I have 3 plants here, but those will give me decent sized stems. And I'm hoping that nothing gets this millet, because this is one of my favorite things to use. I actually probably will put this in for the wholesalers. I love millet. It's so cool. It's got a beautiful flowering head on it. In fact, I'm thinking in the future this is the only decorative grass I'm going to grow. So I hope these guys don't get eaten before I can harvest them. And then we have Sweet Annie, which I often harvest at this stage, but it really doesn't hold up as well in a vase until it starts to set flowers. So I'm not going to list these to the wholesaler until I've got some flowering stems, but you can see they're like a tree. It's like bamboo. And this started, I grew this from seed, you guys. This plant gets enormous. This is Sweet Annie, Artemisia annua. So if you are looking for a delicious smelling greenery for arrangement, I would highly recommend this. It will get tiny, tiny little little yellow flowers on it, and they will make a really nice foliage in your bouquets. Okay, so since this would be way too short of a video, I'm going to close here and pick this back up tomorrow, where we'll go back to the house in the morning and harvest our garlic. And we're back. It is the next day. I just went to the farm and set 10 traps, mouse traps that'll trap voles. And then looking at all the holes there, I should have bought 20 more. It's a good thing they are very cheap. Anyway, I set them according to the UC IPM website instructions, perpendicular to the run. Right as they come out of the hole, they'll step on it, and you don't even have to bait them. So let's hope it works. I actually need to do that in this garden as well. I've been baiting for rats, but I think it's voles that we're dealing with based on the tunneling. So yeah, it's always something. Okay, so today it's blessedly quiet here at my house. Absolutely no work is happening because they put the first coat of stain on our new hardwood floors, and so nobody can be in the house. And it's actually really nice to have the driveway to myself to be able to charge the car, and it's mostly quiet out here other than traffic, so it's really nice. Okay, it's time to harvest the garlic. It's looking a bit rough. The rust is taking over. So we're gonna harvest this. I have to set it up outside in the backyard on a table, if I can find a table. Basically, it just needs to cure to get airflow and not be in direct sun for a couple of weeks, and then it will be ready to store. However, this is hard neck garlic. So, well, I do have some soft neck. That's the short stuff over here. Short neck garlic stores a lot longer. So I will braid these guys. But the hard neck, I'm actually going to cut back. I usually don't do this, but I'm going to cut back most of the foliage. I'll still leave a long stalk, but I'm going to cut back most of the foliage because it is all rust infected, and so I don't want to spread those spores around other places in the garden. So I'm going to cut back the foliage, then we'll set up everything to sit and cure, and then we'll move on to the next steps. Now I am going to put a lot of soil in this bed. As you can see, it's really dropped down. I do have 2 sweet potatoes there that are doing well, so I'll, just pile it up around them, but I want to fill this bed to the top again with soil. And then I've been debating about what to put in here. I thought about putting a row of sunflowers in the front because they will get tall and they will shade the back half of the bed because the sun is over here. And then I could put things that like to bolt with too much sun in the summertime and too much heat in the back, like lettuce and stuff. But I'm still on the fence about that. And I don't need to plant this today. So, in fact, I don't have time to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this harvested. And then probably this weekend, we can get something in here to kind of fill in that space. I don't want to not use the bed. Worst case scenario, I'll put a cover crop of mustard in there. And maybe I'll do that anyway, instead of planting more veg. Put a cover crop of mustard, let the sweet potatoes that are there in the corner take over the bed, and the mustard will beat back this garlic rust spores. Mustard works for Fusarium and Verticillium. So hopefully that will fix the problem. All right, so let's get started. I'm looking forward to turning this bed over. This garlic was planted in October, so it's a very long season crop, and I'm looking forward to reaping the benefits of it. So here it is. This is the soft neck variety here, and these are the hard necks. Decent sized cloves, I'm happy about that. There's a lot of them. We're in the greenhouse. I'm just going to dry them in here on this rack. It gets, it won't be in full sun at any point in the day. I mean, there's this little bit right here, but it's shaded above, see? So it won't be in full sun, and there's lots of airflow. It's right next to one of the windows, and in this greenhouse we have so for those of you who are new, this greenhouse has a little solar panel right here. Look at all the spider webs everywhere. This little solar panel operates this system, which runs these fans every 20 minutes. And they run for about 2 minutes, and they do an entire circulation of the air in this greenhouse. They're set up that way by the manufacturer, so they know the cubic space of the greenhouse, and they set it up so that those fans and that time frame runs long enough to completely clean the air in this greenhouse, circulate it, and suck it out and add new air. So we've got windows on that side, and then there's windows over here. So it just cycles the air through the greenhouse every 20 minutes. So they'll have lots of airflow, and they should cure pretty quickly. I did make a mistake, and I forgot to turn off the water for the whole bed, like for the last 2 weeks. Because when I planted the sweet potatoes in those grow bags that are next to that bed, I just moved 2 of the sprinkler heads in, one in each bag, because then it'd be automatically watered. But I forgot to turn off the water to the other side. So the hardneck has been getting water up until this morning. And so it's fine, it'll be fine, but it's just more muddy, not really muddy. It's just the soil is damp, and so it's going to take a while to dry on those roots, and then I can just shake it all off and it'll be fine. So that may not look like a huge amount of garlic for some folks. I know if you watch other channels, you see this gigantic amount of garlic, but we grow a 4x4 bed every year, and we still have garlic left over from last year. So even though we love garlic and we use it all the time, this is more than enough for our family for the year, and we even gift some of it as well. So, okay, next steps, sunflowers. I think I've already spoken about this a couple times, but it's not going to work. So in the past, I've always started my sunflowers in seed trays for the first couple of months while it's still chilly outside, and then I transplant them. And they really do better if you can direct sow them. But I haven't been able to successfully direct sow anything out there. Well, I did it in the early months of this year, before the voles were active. Now the voles and the birds are active, and they just eat the seed. So I'm going to go back to starting in trays, and I'm going to do successions. I've really slacked on this, so I need to do once a week. And because I really... These are going to carry me through the season. Sunflowers will have mums and zinnias at the end of the season. So the end of my season is September 30th, because October is planting for the following spring. So I end my season at the end of September. But a lot of flowers, even though they may be heat-loving flowers, don't really love 100+ degrees temperatures, which is what we get in August and September. So I have to make sure I have successions, and I will have mums as long as nothing happens to them, lots of mums. I will have zinnias as long as they keep starting to produce and give me taller stems. Right now, the stems are too short. Another succession right here, but these are not ready to go in the ground. They haven't even been hardened off yet. I would like to start hardening them off to get them in the ground. And in fact, they clearly need fertilization. I might stick these out in the sun today to, because some of the leaves are turning brown. I don't want that to cause a problem. So, yeah, I'm worried about having enough at the end of the season. It's been, like I said, this is my 4th year flower farming, and I am finally really getting a grip on what I want to grow from here on out. When you first start out, you tend to grow everything, right? You just like little bits of everything. And the problem with that is you never have enough of one thing. So as time has gone by, I have learned which crops I like, which crops do well for me, which crops do not. And so this week, during my business class, one of the projects was to narrow down our crop list. So I've pretty dramatically done that, and I'm really happy about where I've landed. But for the next couple seasons, I need to be doing enterprise budgeting on each crop to see, is that particular crop even worth keeping? Are we spending more to produce it than we are making it? Is it worth it? So, but that's a multi-season thing, because it's really hard to do an enterprise budget on each crop over the course, every crop over the course of one season. That's a full-time job in and of itself. It's a lot of documentation, a lot of things to measure. So, all that being said, I desperately need to get sunflowers started. And I have 3 varieties here. I just grabbed these randomly because it doesn't really matter. ProCut Peach. I have 2 peach, and ProCut Horizon. This one is a yellow-red one. And then I have Red Lemon Bicolor and ProCut Red. Now, ProCut Red, I'm going to wait and start a little bit later Fans are kicking on to cycle the air. I'm going to wait and start these a little bit later because these would be great color for the fall, right? Red is awesome, and so is the red and the yellow. Peach, I'm definitely starting today. I'll probably do 2 successions of that, so this week and next week. And then we have beds that are ready out there. I just need to pull the silage tarp back and get the irrigation back down, and then we can put these transplants in. So yes, got to get this done. So last week I started more seedlings. I needed to start all of the marigolds, so I've got Kilimanjaro White, Orange Hawaii, and then I've got some Cosmos and Coreopsis back there. I've got more basil since most of mine has been destroyed, and I've got more amaranth because all of the stuff that I had just didn't survive. So these guys clearly aren't ready to go out anytime soon. They literally just germinated and they only have their cotyledon seeds, cotyledon leaves. So they're not anywhere close to being ready. In the future, I'm not going to grow amaranth unless somehow this crop does amazing. I have been trying to grow it since I started. Last year was the first year I actually got any flowering stems off of it, but they were only 18 inches high. So it's not worth spending money on seed and all the effort to get things going if it's not going to produce on the farm. So I had basically sown these before I took this class and really started narrowing things down. But I'm going to use them because we do have the space out there. All right, I'm going to set these zinnias up in the sun for a little while and get trays set up and sown with 1 succession of sunflowers. And then I think that's going to be it for today. It feels good to get the garlic harvested, and I'm looking forward to filling that bed tomorrow. Saturday. Tomorrow's Saturday. I don't think actually I'm going to be filling that bed with anything tomorrow. I'm finishing a customer's deck design project, container project tomorrow, and it's going to be really hot tomorrow, so I don't think transplanting in the afternoon in high heat is a good idea. And I don't know what I'm going to put in there anyway, so. Okay, I'm going to get this done, and then we'll come back and wrap up. It is a little toasty in here. Woo! Almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius. I'm done with my project, but dripping in sweat. Okay, so we have ProCut Orange, a whole tray, and a whole tray of ProCut Peach. As long as nothing eats those in the interim, between now and transplant, we should be good to go in about 2 weeks. So that's going to be it for me today, you guys. It's really hot. I'm going to go home and get back to financial planning for the business and take a break out of the heat. I hope you guys have a wonderful time in your garden. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.